Have you ever wondered what happens when architectural marvels go horribly wrong? We've all seen incredible buildings that push the limits of design and engineering, but some structures face disastrous failures that shock the world. From crumbling bridges to towering buildings that just couldn't stand the test of time, these architectural blunders have left lasting lessons. So, have you ever thought about how something so grand can collapse in an instant? Let's dive into the 7 biggest architectural disasters of all time and explore what went wrong. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, Italy. The Leaning Tower of Pisa is one of the most iconic architectural disasters that turned into an emblem of resilience. Construction began in 1173, and it wasn't long before engineers realized something was wrong. The tower started to lean due to an unstable foundation in the soft, marshy ground beneath it. You might be wondering, how could something so famous go so wrong? Well, despite its tilted design, it didn't collapse immediately, but as the construction continued, the tilt worsened, and by the time the tower was completed, it was leaning at an alarming 5.5 degrees. Throughout the centuries, the tower continued to lean further, and in the 1990s, it was officially closed to the public. For over a decade, engineers from all over the world scrambled to find a way to prevent the tower from toppling over. The solution was complex, using cables, lead counterweights, and soil removal to reduce the tilt. After extensive restoration efforts, it was finally reopened to the public in 2001, with a lean reduced to about 3.99 degrees. Now the Leaning Tower of Pisa attracts millions of tourists every year. People flock to it to take the famous holding up the tower photo, marveling at the unique structure that almost fell, but didn't. It stands as a reminder of how something that began as an engineering error became an enduring symbol of ingenuity, perseverance, and how history can often turn missteps into iconic landmarks. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, USA. If you've ever seen a video of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge swaying and collapsing, you probably felt your stomach drop. The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, which opened in 1940 in Washington state, was dubbed Galloping Gertie due to the extreme swaying it experienced. The design of the bridge, with its narrow, flexible structure, lacked the necessary aerodynamics to withstand high winds. And what happened next was nothing short of catastrophic. On November 7, 1940, just months after its opening, the bridge was subjected to unusually strong winds. Within hours, the bridge began to sway uncontrollably. The winds caused the bridge to oscillate violently, with the cables twisting and the deck becoming undulated. The structure literally danced in the wind, and within a few hours, the bridge collapsed into Puget Sound, creating one of the most dramatic engineering failures in history. What caused this spectacular failure? The bridge's design ignored aerodynamic principles. Essentially, the wind was able to sing through the structure, creating vibrations that grew stronger and stronger. The collapse raised awareness about the importance of considering wind and aerodynamic forces in bridge design. Engineers took this lesson seriously, leading to safer, more stable bridges being built in the future. Today, the story of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge serves as a cautionary tale in engineering schools worldwide. Its legacy? A reminder that even the most majestic structures can come down in the blink of an eye if we overlook the basics. The Sampoong department store collapsed, South Korea. On June 29, 1995, the Sampoong department store in Seoul, South Korea, was a bustling shopping hub, attracting thousands of people to its floors each day. But little did they know, they were walking on the brink of disaster. The building, originally designed with a standard reinforced concrete structure, was altered during construction. These changes, including adding a massive air conditioning unit on the roof, severely compromised the building's integrity. As time went on, these modifications, along with subpar construction materials, began to take their toll. The fateful day arrived when the building's roof, unable to withstand the weight of the changes and weakened by previous cracks, collapsed. The entire top floor crumbled in an instant, and the floors below followed. Over 500 people perished in the disaster, and more than 900 were injured. The aftermath was nothing short of devastating, as families and loved ones were left to mourn the senseless loss of life. Investigations revealed the shocking truth. The building's structural design had been compromised from the start. Engineers and architects had cut corners during the renovations, ignoring critical safety codes. The Sampoong collapse became a tragic lesson in the importance of adhering to building codes and maintaining strict safety measures. Today, the collapse is a somber reminder of how easily safety can be overlooked in the pursuit of profit and convenience. The aftermath of Sampoong reshaped construction practices in South Korea, emphasizing the need for transparent building inspections, quality materials, and the ethical responsibility of builders. The Ronan Point collapse, UK. In 1968, a seemingly ordinary residential tower in London became the center of one of the most shocking architectural failures in history. The Ronan Point Tower was a 22-story building constructed using large prefabricated concrete panels. At first glance, it seemed like a modern marvel of efficiency in the realm of urban housing. However, the unfortunate flaw lay in its design, a flaw that would be exposed in the most tragic way. The disaster occurred when a gas explosion on the 18th floor caused a wall panel to explode outward, and within seconds, the entire corner of the building collapsed. The explosion caused a domino effect, triggering the destruction of more floors, leading to the loss of 4 lives. What was even more alarming was that the entire structure was so fragile that one small explosion was enough to bring it down. It turned out that the building was designed without proper consideration for how the panels interacted under stress. The walls were meant to hold the structure together, but once one panel failed, it compromised the entire system. The Ronan Point collapse highlighted the critical importance of redundancy in design, where failure in one part should not bring down the whole structure. In the wake of this tragedy, the collapse of Ronan Point spurred an overhaul of building codes, specifically targeting high-rise construction. It led to a complete rethinking of how concrete panels were used in building designs, forcing engineers and architects to rethink how buildings could survive extreme events. Ronan Point was ultimately demolished, but its legacy lives on as a lesson in structural integrity and the need for thorough safety assessments in all construction projects. The St. Francis Dam failure, USA. The St. Francis Dam in California stood as a promising symbol of modern engineering when it was completed in 1926. Designed to provide a steady water supply to Los Angeles, it was an essential piece of the city's growing infrastructure. However, its catastrophic failure in 1928 forever changed how engineers approached dam construction. The dam, towering over the San Francisco Canyon, was expected to withstand the test of time. Unfortunately, it had been built on unstable ground, and the underlying geological conditions were never properly assessed. On March 12, 1928, the dam's foundation began to show signs of distress. Despite the earlier warnings, no significant action was taken to reinforce the structure. By 11:57 p.m., the dam's concrete walls gave way, sending a massive wall of water crashing down the canyon. In less than 2 hours, the floodwaters reached the Pacific Ocean, claiming the lives of at least 431 people, though some estimates suggest the actual toll was much higher. The tragedy shocked the nation, especially since the dam had been hailed as a symbol of progress. Investigations revealed serious flaws in its construction, including poor materials, an underestimation of the potential danger, and the failure to conduct thorough geological tests. The St. Francis disaster became one of the deadliest dam failures in U.S. history and exposed the dire consequences of neglecting proper engineering practices. In the aftermath, the tragedy led to sweeping changes in dam safety regulations. Today, the lessons from the St. Francis Dam failure continue to inform dam construction and risk management strategies, serving as a stark reminder of the importance of rigorous safety assessments, proper design, and detailed geological studies in preventing such disasters. The Hyatt Regency Hotel Walkway collapse, USA. The Hyatt Regency Hotel in Kansas City, Missouri, was an architectural gem when it opened in 1980. But just 1 year later, it became the site of one of the most horrifying structural failures in American history. The hotel's design included 2 suspended walkways that connected the atrium's upper floors. These walkways were meant to be an impressive feature of the grand lobby, offering an elegant vantage point for guests to enjoy the open space below. Unfortunately, a series of design changes and engineering oversights led to disaster. On July 17, 1981, during a crowded event, both walkways collapsed, sending 114 people to their deaths and injuring 216 others. The collapse occurred when the load-bearing design of the walkways was altered. Initially, the walkways were meant to be supported by cables from the ceiling, but a last-minute change connected them to the same support structure, creating a fatal weakness. The increased weight load caused the structure to fail catastrophically, resulting in one of the deadliest structural failures in U.S. history. The Hyatt Regency collapse revealed significant flaws in the building's design process. It was discovered that engineers had failed to properly communicate the design changes to each other, and no one considered the combined effect of the changes on the structural integrity of the walkways. The event led to a nationwide reassessment of building safety and engineering practices. In the aftermath, tighter regulations were implemented, ensuring that structural changes were thoroughly analyzed and communicated. The Hyatt Regency disaster highlighted the critical importance of cross-discipline collaboration in construction and reinforced the need for strict adherence to safety standards, ultimately shaping how engineers approach large-scale projects today. The Pruitt Igoe Housing Project, USA. The Pruitt Igoe Housing Project in St. Louis, Missouri, was once considered a pioneering symbol of modern urban housing. Completed in 1956, the massive complex was designed to house the growing population of low-income families in the city. The architects, hoping to provide an ideal solution to overcrowding and urban blight, created a series of high-rise buildings made of reinforced concrete. At first, the project seemed to promise a brighter future for thousands of residents. But as time passed, Pruitt Igoe became a haunting example of how good intentions in urban planning can go terribly wrong. Despite the original vision of a harmonious community, Pruitt Igoe quickly descended into chaos. The buildings suffered from poor maintenance, high crime rates, and deteriorating living conditions. The design of the complex, with its long corridors and isolated towers, created an environment ripe for criminal activity and social disintegration. The buildings, which once symbolized hope, quickly became synonymous with despair. By the 1970s, the situation had become untenable, and the decision was made to demolish the entire complex. The Pruitt Igoe project was reduced to rubble, and in 1972 the last of the towers was torn down. The demolition of Pruitt Igoe is often seen as a tragic symbol of the failure of large-scale, top-down urban renewal efforts. The downfall of Pruitt Igoe led to a significant rethinking of urban planning and housing policy in the United States. It showed that simply building high-rise structures without considering the social and economic needs of the community was a flawed approach. The lesson learned from Pruitt Igoe is that housing projects must be designed not only with architectural integrity, but with a strong emphasis on fostering community, safety, and sustainable living environments. Today, Pruitt Igoe stands as a sobering reminder of the complexities and challenges involved in urban development. And that's a wrap on the 7 biggest architectural disasters of all time. These stories remind us that even the most grand designs can face unexpected challenges. What do you think? Could these disasters have been avoided? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to DwellScape for more intriguing insights into the world of architecture. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.